And then we just cut to Jason, like, grabbing one of the sleeping bags and just slamming it into the ground. We hear the girls going, why? He's, like, hitting against the tree. It's actually a really fucking funny scene. It's a pretty goddamn funny scene. I do love it. It's probably the best kill. It's probably the second best kill next to the liquid nitrogen kill earlier in the movie. It's pretty funny.
Hello, and thank you for checking out the video. I just want to let you know that I not only create content on my YouTube channel, Class in the Glass, but I'm also on Twitch, where I review movies, cartoons, and TV shows live, while also playing single-player games and multiplayer games. I also have a Patreon where subscribers have access to hundreds of video and audio commentaries for films and cartoons, as well as podcasts and videocasts. In the meantime, thank you again for watching. Enjoy the video.
But now, my friends, we can go ahead and move on to the next part of my stream. And that is my review for Jason X, chat, the 2001 horror comedy slasher film. You know, I've said for a while on this platform, other platforms, that, you know, Jason X, that's one of the better Friday the 13th movies. You know, I've never been a big fan of Friday the 13th. I think the only other review that I've done at this point was for the original film. It just kind of felt like a knockoff. I mean, it is a knockoff of Halloween. I mean, Halloween, which popularized the slasher subgenre, created a lot of, inspired a lot of other filmmakers to do their own types of slasher films throughout, you know, the late 70s and then obviously into the 80s. And Friday the 13th was one of those. I just never found it very interesting. I mean, even like Friday the 13th, I mean, I will say it evolved over time to become something, you know, quite different. I mean, Jason wasn't even the main slasher in the original movie. It was his mother, Pamela. But yeah, I just never was ever a big fan. The ones I could say, like, listen, I don't think they're all terrible. The ones I'm like, I like this is entertaining enough. I like the one where it's funny enough, it's someone pretending to be Jason. I think it's called The New Beginning. I like that one. I like the one where Jason pretty much fights Carrie. This psychic girl. Thank you, Carnage Rage, for the 40 biddies. Speaking of Friday the 13th, Death Battle is doing a fight between Jason and Michaels. I see. And then I lost my train of thought. So yeah, but the Friday the 13th movies I've always liked. The New Beginning, where it dealt with someone pretending to be Jason and pretty much trying to murder people and use Jason's infamy for his, you know, own ill-gotten gain. Then I like the one where he fought Carrie. I thought that one was pretty cool. Funny enough, that was originally supposed to be a Freddy versus Jason movie, but then various licensing issues. Like, all right, just have him fight someone else. Carrie, can't use Carrie either. Fuck. All right, well, Psychic Girl. Okay, we'll do that. And then after that, the next one I liked was Jason X, and that's when they, you know, so many horror films, slasher franchise, they all seem to eventually go to space, or at least some of them do. Leprechaun infamously did. Hellraiser infamously did by the fourth film. So it was like, all right, natural at this point. They're like, hey, let's finally send Jason to space, and also let's really into the comedic sensibilities. I mean, it's a send up, it's a joke, and that's how I always viewed it. You know, now I will say I had not watched this movie in quite some time. When I originally watched it, it was I rented it from Blockbuster on DVD, Chad, in the early 2000s. And I was entertained by it. My friend at the time, he was a huge Friday the 13th fan. He just like, I don't like this one. I don't like that. It's so fun. I'm like, oh, what's the point? You know, they're setting up the franchise. In any case, I was more of a Halloween guy, a Halloween nightmare guy, and he was more Friday the 13th and stuff. But I always had, like, you know, a pretty positive opinion of this film, and I've recently rewatched it, and I don't know if that opinion holds. There's some parts of this movie that I do enjoy, that I do like. You know, also a number of things that stand out about it. It was a critical and commercial disaster. It's one of the most poorly performing entries in the franchise. I think it had like a budget of about $14 million and only made like $17 million. It was the last Friday the 13th movie until Freddy vs. Jason, which is, that's the one I like the most. Freddy vs. Jason is by far the best one. That one to me is really, really fun. It's not even a horror film. It's a horror comedy action movie. Action event fantasy film, if you will. Also, this marks the last appearance of Kane Hodder, I think that's how you say his name, who had played Jason for a number of years until recently, Chad, the Friday the 13th video game. When he reprised the role for all the mocap and, you know, doing all the animations and things. But, you know, that's just kind of my general thoughts on Jason X. But what about you guys? Very, very curious. How do you feel about Jason X? And have you seen this film. There is a nipple scene indeed in this movie. I'll tell you about it in just a bit. I've seen most of it online. I think it's better than Part 5 Manhattan and Goes to Hell. There you go. Mr. Jerome, I saw Jason X when I was like 5, and the same year I saw Jason Goes to Hell and Freddy vs. Jason. So I thought Jason Space was normal. Yeah, I was just like, of course he's gonna go to space. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all these slashers go to space. Oh, another fun fact about the movie, chat, is the director Jim Isaac, who passed away about a decade ago. He was a special effects guy, and he worked with David Cronenberg in a number of films. And David Cronenberg is in the movie. He plays a character in the beginning of the film, a scientist who has captured Jason Voorhees and is experimenting on him and wants to use his regenerative powers for money, to make money, chat. And that's what he's doing. So it's pretty interesting. Casby looks like a fun, stupid movie, to be honest. It is. It's all that. That just for Freddy vs. Jason was better. 100%. I mean, that made money. That made about $100 million, I think. Joe says, I've never seen a single Jason movie. Also, because I like David Cronenberg because he has a cameo. Yep. Hey, Jason X when it first came out. Now, I still don't like it, but I can appreciate it being batshit. Yes. I've never seen it, says Cristiano. Emily, I like how stupid Jason X is. It's fun. So in terms of the timeline of where this takes place, so Jason, it's very weird. So Jason X, in terms of when it was released. It was the last one until Freddy vs. Jason. Now, in terms of the timeline, this is the last one. Because you had Jason Goes to Hell, and then I guess he somehow escaped hell, and then you had Freddy vs. Jason, right? And then in the timeline, it's Jason X, because it takes place in like the 25th century. So I think that's the chronology, I believe. Victor Nickerfine, welcome to Stream Sheba. I've only seen the first Friday the 13th. Wow, okay, so you haven't even seen the one where Jason's in the hockey mask and everything. That's very interesting. Very, very. And Darkest Calls to me, Jason X is a blast. Very good, very good. Naya, get on with it already. Okay, I'm gonna get on with it. I'm just sharing my opinion on the movie that I'm reviewing. But yeah, chat, I had an appreciation for this film, and maybe I still do. It was, it's trying something different. There's a number of scenes where it's like, okay, we're being tongue-in-cheek, we're being comedic about this because we have to be because of where this franchise has gone and has been. Once on a network formerly known as UPN. Jason ain't been to the hood yet, though. That's true. No, Jason has not been to the hood. Maybe they'll do that. Not too many horror slashers have been to the hood. I mean, Leprechaun is the one that kind of led that. I'm trying to think of like anyone else. No one else coming to mind. Maybe Jason will be the next one. That'd be funny. But chat, we must start with my scene by scene breakdown of Jason X. And we start in a CGI hellscape. It's like, are we in Spawn? It's like a slightly improved version of hell from Spawn. It's fucking rough. But it's like, okay, you rendered this a little bit more interesting. But it's like, oh shit. So is this like taking place after the events of Jason, Goes to Hell and all that? It's like, oh, okay. But then we realize it's not really hell. We're actually inside the body of Jason Voorhees, but inside the body of Jason Voorhees, it's like hell. I'm very confused by this opening. I'm like, okay, it's like I get it, like, his anatomy is very weird. He's able to regenerate, and all that. And that's how he's been able to stay alive, never truly die. Like, sure, he's always kind of gone into like a dormant kind of period. But I'm like, is there like a hell dimension inside this? Very odd. But it's like, oh, and then when people are poking and prodding and cutting and stabbing and scooping and jerking, Jason chat. And then we cut and we have like this, it's like, we don't know how to kill him anymore. We've tried all these various ways. Just lock him up in the Camp Crystal Lake research facility, chat. So finally, after all these decades, chat, they finally said, all right, we're going to fucking shut down Camp Crystal Lake and we're going to build an underground base underneath. Because I'm thinking, like, why is everything so fucking wet in this? Because they're underneath the lake and it's dripping. That's what's going on, chat. I understand now. But they also are in this very large, enormously large room. It's like, I don't understand why this room is so goddamn big. It's like, I know that you shot this as a warehouse to keep the budget down, but it's like, still, feels kind of weird. And Jason's like in the middle of this huge fucking complex, and he's all like he's chained up. He's got chains around his neck, he's got chains around his arms, legs, thick thighs. I mean, everything. This guy can't fucking. And for whatever reason, they also have kept his hockey mask on. I'm like, why did you keep? I mean, I know like the audience is like, oh, we gotta know that's Jason, but it's like, why would you keep that on him? It doesn't make a lot of sense. But I think the guard's thinking the same thing, because there's this one lone guard who is at this really weird-looking dystopian-esque, computer station just made of concrete. It's very odd. I mean, he's just sitting there. He's looking at Jason like, I don't like him looking at me. Lisa, hard hands, good to see you. This security guard was not making hard hands at Jason Voorhees, but maybe he should have, Chad. Maybe in hindsight, he probably should have. But he takes, thankfully, this very large, thick blanket that he has, and he walks over. He's like, here, now you can stare at this all day, you ugly bastard. And he throws the blanket on. We then cut immediately from the security guard, who is none too pleased to monitor and look at Jason all goddamn day. And we're introduced to the character of Dr. Rowan LaFontaine, chat. She's our new final girl in this movie. And she's there to meet David Cronenberg, because he has a cameo as a scientist, Chad, who wants to make money and exploit Jason for money. And he's also a friend of the director, and probably said, yeah, man, I'll be in a Friday the 13th movie, no problem. And Dr. Rowan's like, listen, Cronenberg, we can't move Jason. It's too dangerous. We have him locked down. It's the most secure he's ever been. And Cronenberg's like, I don't give a shit. I don't want to be in this movie any longer than I have to be, and I want to make money, Dr. LaFontaine. So they all go inside of the it takes a while for them to walk into the room, too. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's like, you got to cut down the editing time. You can make this movie even shorter. The movie's short. The movie's about an hour 25, but still. It's like, fuck, we got to walk. Okay, here we go. And they go up to the platform that Jason's on. They got the blanket on him, and Cronenberg's like, get that off of him. We gotta move him. And so the one guy, he has like some military guys. He's got some security guards around him and everything. And the one guy grabs the blanket and pulls it off Jason, but it's not Jason, Chad. It's the security guard. Somehow Jason, despite the multiple chains and locks and everything on him, managed to escape very, very easily. And put the security guard in there, and he's fucking dead. His head's all smushed, and he's all strangled, and it's not looking good at all, chap. And oh shit, Jason Jason teleports. That's like his thing. I don't know how he fucking does. He just teleports behind one of the guards and just starts. Somehow he finds his machete. His machete was thankfully very close by, very nearby. And he starts eviscerating Chad. He starts stabbing. He starts slicing, dicing. He does what, Jason Voorhees has always done. And he fucking, Cronenberg's like, no! And then he fucking throws the machete in the Cronenberg and just cuts him in half. And he's like, finally, my cameo is over. Blah. And Cronenberg dies. Dr. LaFontaine, she's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And so she runs, locks the door, but the door just, now this is confusing. I don't understand. There's only one entrance into the room, into the Jason Voorhees giant, room. And Jason throws this one guy through the door, this military guy. He's like, oh, you were right. We didn't listen to you because you're a girl. Blah. And then he dies. And then she picks up his shotgun. But then Jason teleports behind her. But it's like there was only one entrance. It doesn't matter. She takes off running. At this point, chat. And she's walking out, and this place just looks fucking cheap. It just looks very, just inexpensive. It's like, clearly you shot this in a warehouse. Jason's taking his sweet fucking time. He's pulling a Michael Myers shit, because Jason has like a lot of pep in his step. Like, Jason will run. Jason will fucking power walk when he wants to. Michael's is more of like, I'm just leisurely fucking stroll. This is what I do. I ain't gonna put much effort into it, because all the effort I'm gonna use is when I'm stabbing and slicing and dicing people. That's what it is. But she runs into this cryostasis room. And she baits Jason in there, and she traps him in a cryopod. She's like, ha! You're going to be in cryostasis forever. And he goes, well, so are you. And bah! He stabs through the pod chip, and the machete goes right into her little tummy. She's like, no, my tummy. And this causes all the cryo air, whatever you want to call it, chat. All the really cool, cold air. It starts to freeze everything. And then this causes the little room to go like, oh, shit, we can't have the cryostasis air escape. And so it locks it in, and it goes, boop. And Jason, he kind of freezes in place. And then Dr. LaFontaine, she also freezes, goes, she freezes, chat. And apparently, no one came to the facility to check on what would actually happen. Like, the movie initially takes place in 2008, but everyone went, you know what? We're just kind of wipe and wash our hands of the entire thing. We're just going to move on. We're just not going to even bother, Chad. We're not even going to bother, because then we cut, and we now see these very tall-looking Jawas, or people dressed up as Jawas, descending the staircase that we saw earlier that go to the cryostasis lab. Houdini! They open that thing up. And they go up to it and they see like, they're like, what the hell's inside? It's like, I don't know, but its life signs are dead. It might as well be dead. And they're like, but we're getting another life reading in the room. And they find Dr. LaFontaine. She's like, and all that shit. Eventually, you find out that this is actually a field trip. This is a class field trip, chat, to this now decimated Earth. Like, Earth, it's hundreds of years in the future. Earth is now uninhabitable, chat. And people from Earth 2, not a very original name. Let's like, what should we call our new homeworld? Call it Earth 2. All right, there we go. They come here occasionally. They try to find artifacts and like sell them, and I guess, and analyze, and archaeological digs and all that kind of fun stuff. So they take her frozen body because it's like, oh shit, she's been compromised since we opened it because she was in perfect hibernation. We got to get her onto our big old CGI ship and sew up her tum-tum with the CGI ants. And they're like, okay, what about this guy? I was like, yeah, let's get him out of there too. And so they open his tube up, and we have this one dumbass, this one kid who's like, this guy's culture appropriating this white kid, and he's appropriating every culture he can, chat. He's got these long fucking blonde dreadlocks. He's got like these tribal tattoos. Like, dude, what tribe do you belong to, Kyle? He doesn't belong to any goddamn tribe. But he starts poking and prodding Jason when they said not to, and his fucking arm comes down, and just cuts his arm. He's like, and just cuts it right off. But then this robot woman, this android called KM14, she has like this little, I don't know what it is. It's like this Ziploc bag, and she puts the Ziploc bag on the stump, and then she hits him with like the sedative. He's like, oh, you're really pretty. And she goes like, I know. And they put it, and they carry his arm. And they take Jason, they take everyone else outside, and we see that the Earth has become Tatooine, Chad. It's now Tatooine, and there's sand everywhere, and it's coarse, rough, and irritating, and it gets absolutely everywhere, Chad. And they board this little ship, little ball ship. And it shoots off into outer space, where they get to their much bigger ship, and we're introduced to the rest of the cast of characters. We have the professor, we have the greedy professor, Chad, who just wants money. We have the robot lady we just met. We have the nerdy guy who loves the robot lady. Peter Mensa's in the movie, Chad. I like Peter Mensa. You know, he plays one of two black guys in the film, and I'm sure they'll definitely live to the end. Who else do we got? We got a bunch of characters that are just there to be meat, to be slaughtered by Jason and their own stupidity. You see a lot of that in the film, chap. Also, we get multiple boob scenes. So in case you're like, well, wait a minute. I mean, yeah, we have kills and everything, but we need some big booby scenes. It's like, don't worry, you have that. You get one shot where the KM14, who they're kind of going back and forth, is like, okay, is she like a person, or is she just like there to serve? Very weird. I guess androids and robots they have the same rights as humans do. But she's in a kind of a special relationship with like her nerdy guy, and she's like, I want you to look at my nipples. Did these look? She just has she has boobies, but there's like no nip nips. And she's like, I was looking at Karen's nip nips, and I thought I would add my own. She has like these little suction cup nipples, and she puts them on there, but they keep falling off. And he's like, I just love you for who you are, Cam. You don't need to have nipples. And she's like, yay! And then they start smooching. And then we have like other scenes where because they load up each body, and they're like, we gotta take Dr. LaFontaine to the CG ants, the nanomachines, they'll repair her. But what about Jason? He's or they don't even know who he is yet. But like, he's too far gone. And I guess, chatting in the future, in the 25th century, when you're just doing autopsies on dead, rotting corpses like Jason Voorhees, that just makes you fucking horny. You just want to start grabbing ass. And we have there's one character named Adrian who is just like, I'm about science and studying things from, past Earth and stuff, Earth 1. And you just have these two assistants who are just grabbing ass and just smooching and groping each other right in front of the dead body of Jason. He's not going to appreciate that. Even his peripheral vision, he's like, I sense horny teenagers about. And Adrian's like, get the hell out of here so I can perform this autopsy. And you're like, all right, whatever. After that wonderful scene, we then cut to the CGI ant room, where they load up Dr. Rowan Fontaine, and they cover her in really poorly rendered CGI silver ants. And they sew up her tum-tum wound. And they also put her in chainmail for whatever reason. I don't know. The fashion in this movie just looks shitty. Like, everyone's, like, wearing this kind of, like, weird-looking, like, wool. And it's, like, got, like, a lot of fuzz on it. I'm like, what's the fashion? Oh, everyone has a crop top. That's the other thing, too. Like, if you're a woman in the future, you have to have a crop top, okay? Crop top, maybe a little bit of underboob. All right, but nothing covers your tummy at all. All right, and you got to wear hot pants, either hot pants or something where you got to show off your thighs. That is mandatory in Jason X 25th century timeline. Okay, that's how you have to have it. And so she wakes up and she freaks out. She goes, bah! And she fucking hits the professor in the face because he was like, she looks so delicate. And she whacks him. And Peter Mensa's there. And she's like, what the hell's going on? What happened? Peter Mensa's like, oh, shit, yeah, you've been out of it. You've woken up. It's 400 years later. It's the 25th century. She's like, what about Jason Voorhees? And like, who's Jason Voorhees? We don't know who the hell that is. And he's like, he's a fucking serial killer, and he regenerates and shit. And he's like, oh, he's been dead the whole time. Don't worry about it. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. After we cut from that, the professor, he's curious about this whole, Jason Voorhees thing, and he wants money, and so he goes and contacts his financial backer, Dr. or whatever, I forget what his name is, Mr. D'Souza or something like that. It doesn't matter. He contacts him. And this guy's actually the best character in the movie. He's like, oh, why the fuck are you calling me? He's like, listen, I just uncovered 2 subjects from Earth 1. And one of them is like well over 400 years old. And the guy's like, who fucking gives a shit? We've been defrosting people like that for years. Doesn't matter if they're 100, 250, 450, who cares? And he's like, you're right. Well, we also got this other guy. His name is Jason Voorhees, and she says to like not defrost him, but I don't know. I don't really respect her opinion because she's a girl. Even in the future, Chet, even in the future, there's misogyny and sexism. And the guy's going, whoa, wait a minute. No, he's not bothered by the sexist comment. But he's like, did you say Jason Voorhees? And he's like, yeah. Do you know who that is? He's like, yeah, Jason Voorhees. He was one of the most infamous serial killers of the 20th century. Killed, estimated at about 200 people. And he's like, yeah, apparently she said like he has regenerative abilities. He's like, bring Jason Voorhees to the space station Solaris so we can exploit him for money. And the professor's like, hell fucking yeah, I'm going to go and contact Adrian and tell her to start the autopsy and start defrosting him. He's like, sounds good. This is an excellent plan. And he contacts Adrian, tells her, hey, go ahead and start doing the autopsy and scooping out all those goop because we're going to sell it. And she's like, I don't know if that's a good thing, Professor. She's like, I tell you what to do, okay? You don't question me. And before he's about to leave, chat, one of the other students comes in there and she's like, hey, I want to make sure I get a good grade, so I'm going to fuck you. And the professor's like, excellent, that's some extra credit. And we get one of the weirdest scenes in the movie where this guy, apparently he just loves a good old-fashioned purple nurple, chat, because she's straddling him and she's just kind of like dry humping him. But she has this weird, I don't know, this nipple twister device, and it just grabs on his nipple, and she just starts twisting. He's like, oh. And she's like, yeah, you like that? You like that, Daddy? You like that, Professor? He goes, I do. And he's like, yeah. And what's going to happen to me? He's like, oh, you passed. I guess he just came everywhere. But yeah, she passed, chat, because she gave him a good old-fashioned purple nurple, little titty twister. Meanwhile, we cut back to Adrian, who is doing the autopsy on Jason Voorhees. So she scoops out like his bad eyeball, and she starts analyzing it, and she puts it into some liquid nitrogen for, preserve it and everything. She's trying her goddamn best to, be a good student. She's probably one of the best characters in the film because she seems passionate about the science and learning about who this actually is. Well, the thing is, Jason Voorhees, he starts waking up, because they're defrosting. He's like, and he just fucking, they fast forward the footage too to make it look like, oh shit, he's more powerful than ever. But he gets up and he notices, Adrian looking at his scooped out eyeball. He waddles over to her and just grabs her and he slams her face into this, this microscope. And she's like, ah! And there's like people on the other side of the glass that don't hear her because for whatever reason, it's soundproof glass in the future. And then we get probably what is the best kill in the movie. It's one of the best kills in the franchise, chat, where there's this giant fucking sink filled with liquid nitrogen, and Jason just slams her face into it. Her face just instantly freezes, and he takes her out. She's all frosty and everything, and then boom, he slams her again to the countertop, and her face just shatters. Her head just explodes into like bloody, frozen pulp. And he's like, all right, I gotta get going. But he's like, where's my machete? His machete's nowhere to be seen. So he selects a new cool looking machete, chat. It's very silvery and everything. It's got, sparkles on it. He's like, I'll do this. I'll use this. And then Jason pretty much just goes on a killing spree. We cut back to the two horny teenagers who were just groping ass earlier. They were asked to leave. And Jason's like, I remember you two. And they're fucking each other. And the guy's like, I gotta take a piss. And he gets up and he hears like a knock on the door. He's like, who the hell is it? And he opens the door and Jason just stabs in the tum-tum. And the girl's like, ah! And there's blood. The guy's blood gets on her boobies. And she's like, oh my God, Billy! And he's like, help me, Karen. And, And you don't see that Jason killed the guy. Jason just literally drags him out the door, but it's implied that he kills him. After that wonderful scene, we then cut to these two guys playing this, in a strip. It's a ripoff of Aliens, because we have these two guys decked out in this like military gear, like Aliens, Colonial Marines, and they're fighting these really, really poorly rendered CGI troll monsters on the ship, and they're blasting them and everything like that. And like the nerdy culture appropriating guy, he's there too. And all the guns every single gun in this looks like an airsoft gun. Like it just looks like plastic. Not even like heavy industrial plastic. It looks like a plastic fucking toy. The budgets did not go into the guns and into the weapons in this movie. But they're fighting all these, CGI trolls. And then Jason just kind of waddles in here. He's like, what the fuck is all this? I don't know. And the guys are like, I thought this was, a sci-fi alien invasion program. And they're like, it must be a glitch. And Jason's like, I don't care. And he slices the one guy in half, the nerdy white culture appropriating guy. And he cuts the other guy's head off, but they don't seem to react. But then, oh shit, the one guy's head starts talking. He's like, all right, end program. And then we cut, and it's like VR. It all kind of dissipates, and we see these two guys like sitting on a mat from either side of each other. And Jason's like, what the hell? These guys take off their stuff, and they're like, hey man, who are you? And Jason's like, I'm gonna start stabbing you. And the one guy, the one guy named Dallas, it's like, okay, alien reference, takes out his gun and starts shooting at Jason's legs, which causes him to kind of fall over. And he tells the nerdy, the culture appropriating guy, like, get out of here, appropriate cultures another day. You must live to appropriate. And he's like, no way, dude, no way, I'm going to appropriate Jason. So he jumps on Jason and tries to strangle Jason with his, like, small, whittle, emaciated arms. Jason's like, what are you doing? And he grabs and spins him around and goes, Grah! And he fucking breaks his back like Bane did the Batman, chat, and he falls over dead. And then Dell's like, no, little buddy. And so he goes at Jason. Jason just grabs his bald head and starts smushing and just hits his head into the wall, and he dies instantly. Not a very good kill, that one. It's kind of like, it's kind of lackluster. No bloody explosion or anything like that. Just bonk, and okay, he's dead. Maybe a little bit of blood on the side of the head, but it's implied that he crushed his brain. What do we got? Oh, yeah. After this, the professor, after he's done getting his good old purple nurple session, Dr. LaFontaine, she's been monitored. She's now learned so much about the future, and Earth 2 and everything. And Dr. LaFontaine's like, listen, okay, stop nagging. Stop being so concerned, all right? Jason Voorhees is not going to get up, or he's not going to start walking around. He's dead, right, everyone? Everyone's like, oh, yeah, he's up and walking around the ship, and he's been slaughtering everyone. He's like, fuck, the women are right. And he's like, don't worry, we're going to send one of our two black guys down there to fight him. So he sends down Peter Mensa and his entire team of Alien Colonial Marines wannabes, Chad. All the meat. We then cut to they have a fat guy, Chad. There's a fat guy in the movie. And he's the engineer, and he likes to smoke weed all day. And so he's down there. He's smoking doobies and everything. And Jason, like, comes upon him and is right about to, like, kill him because he's smoking doobies. He's indulging in devil's lettuce, and Jason's mama doesn't like that. And right before he's about to kill this guy, fucking Peter Mensa and all the other Colonial Marines open fire on Jason. But as we know, Jason teleports, and he's like, boom, he just gets out of there. And they're like, fat guy, and they're like, yes. It's like, you go to the command room of everyone so you'll be safe. He's like, you fucking destroyed all my stuff, dude. And so... he goes up there, and he, you know, stays with the people. Meanwhile, Peter Mensa and all of his Colonial Marines, they're just slaughtered one by one by one. One guy literally gets screwed to death, chat. Like, Jason kind of pushes him over, and he falls into this random industrial giant screwdriver that's just spinning around in this room, and he slowly just spins around like that until he stops at the base of it. This one lady, he just slits her throat, not too fancy or anything. She's like, and that's it. One guy, we get stealthy Jason, where it's like, Jason's like, he's learned about strategy and tactics, and he just kind of takes this one guy and just like, go to sleep, and cracks his neck, and he dies. We get this one guy who avenges the one girl that got her neck slit, and, he just starts firing into Jason with his airsoft guns. Those airsoft bullets of the future, Chad. They're very powerful apparently. And this then causes Jason to fall back into this giant industrial hook. And he's kind of like hooked up there, and the guy just raises the hook and calls Peter Mensa, like, Peter Mensa, I've captured Jason Voorhees, get over here. He's like, I'm on my way, cadet. But Jason Voorhees is like, this is a mild inconvenience, and literally just gets off the hook and cuts the guy in half, and the guy's just dragging himself as all of his tum-tum juices and intestines and meat starts falling out to warn Peter Mensa that he is alone, and he's a black man in a horror film. But before he can tell Peter Mensa these very important details, chat, he's cut off mid-sentence by Jason just smushing his head. Peter Mensa then is looking around trying to find all of his various Colonial Marines, but he sees their bodies like, oh no, I'm the last man alive, and I'm a black guy in a horror film. And then right through the wall, Jason has found these spears, I guess, these giant metallic spears, because you have them on a spaceship, and he pokes Peter Mensa right through his gut, and Peter Mensa's like, it'll take more than just a poke in the ribs to put me down. Jason's like, all right, and he finds another one and goes right through him. He goes right through the other side of his tummy, and he's like, oh, yep, that one will do it. And Peter Mensa dies, chap. After that, we then cut to everyone kind of freaking out because they realize Peter Mensa's team has been killed, and the professor's trying to calm down. He's like, listen, everyone, listen, don't worry. This is salvageable. We're going to get to the Solaris base very soon, the Solaris space station, which contains thousands and thousands of people and shit. The security team will be able to deal with Jason. They have 60 Marines on board. It'll be no problem. Nothing could go wrong. And as long as we stay in here, don't worry, everyone is here. We then cut to the pilot of the ship, who is not in there. And he's been told to pilot a course to the space station. Make sure he stays on course. He's like, all right. But then fucking Jason shows up, and Jason just goes to town on this guy. I don't know what this guy did or what he do with the pistol. Like, Jason usually, like, I'm going to stab you. I'm going to cut you in half or cut your head off. Like, that's a big Jason thing. But he just fucking decimates this guy. He just rips his asshole apart, like literally starts at the asshole and rips him apart, shit, because his hands and legs are everywhere, his arms are everywhere, his rib cage, his torso's just been gutted. It's like, fuck, what did this guy do to Jason Voorhees? Like, I will never know. But after that massacre in the pilot's nest, chat, this causes them, the ship, to kind of go off course a little bit, and as they're approaching the massive space station, like they're gonna hit it, and the space station's like, "What are you doing? You're gonna hit us!" And the fucking ship, like, they have no precautions for this kind of thing. This thing goes through this massive city-sized space station, chat, just kills thousands, if not tens of thousands of people, just goes right fucking through it. And like part of it's like still seems to be operational. The person's like, don't worry, it's fine. I'm sure they can recover from this. And then the whole thing fucking explodes. And so I guess technically Jason Voorhees' body count is now literally in the thousands, if not tens of thousands at this point. So Jason's like, high score. Very much so, very much so. And the professor's like, oh, the students all start panicking. Like, oh, professor, what are we going to do? It's like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Then the ship's like, warning, we have taken on external and internal damage. It's like, shut shut the computer up. I'm in charge here, okay? Listen, Jason Voorhees, it's impossible for him to get inside of this room. We'll be fine. We'll make it to Earth 2, and they'll deal with it. And then, bah! Oh, yeah, Jason Voorhees pulls a Kool-Aid man and yeets himself into the room. By the way, I don't know how Jason just knows where everyone is on this ship. He is getting around very, very quickly. But he eats himself in the room, and everyone fucking panics and just runs away. But the professor, he's too fucking cowardly. He's pissing and shitting himself. He's like, no, Jason. And Jason confronts him. The guy's like, listen, Mr. Voorhees, listen. I can give you anything you want. I can give you money. I can give you women. I can give you a passing grade in Earth 2 archaeology. And Jason's like, I don't really care about any of those things. But then he notices his machete. He's like, ooh, machete. He's like, oh, you just wanted your machete. You just wanted your machete. And then he calls the students and intercom. He's like, everyone, it's fine. He just wanted his machete. And then we cut to the students and we just hear, ah, because Jason Voorhees has shoved that machete up the professor's ass, chat, and he's proceeded to cut off his nibs, his nipples. Which might have gotten him off too, but he didn't. But probably getting machete up the asshole, that did not help things. And so the professor is dead. And so everyone that survived at this point, Chad, Dr. LaFontaine, KM14, the android, her nerdy guy. There's there's this rude girl who's I forget her name. There's this rude girl, Chad, who's just very, very mean to Dr. LaFontaine for some reason. And there's also this girl who's crying all the time. I don't know their names, and it doesn't matter. They're like, well, listen, we need to get to Earth 2. Oh, and the fat guy's still there too. Fat guy's there. He's like, listen, we need to get to Earth 2. We got to set we got to go to the pilot's nest and set course because we're off course now at this point. And as a precaution, we're also going to get the lifeboat ready. We wouldn't be able to, even if we go in the lifeboat, we wouldn't have enough fuel or resources to get back to Earth, but we'll just use it just in case everything else goes wrong, right? Okay. And KM14, she's like, I haven't really done much in the movie except show off my nippleless boobs. Can I do something? Nerdy guy's like, yes, I can upgrade you to be a Matrix character because the Matrix came out in 1999 and Reloaded was just about to come out and everyone loves the Matrix. She's like, well, that sounds really cool. He's like, yes. And he installs her with Kung Fu functionality and slow-mo. And so fantastic. Eventually, we cut to the fat guy who, he's like, don't worry, everyone, I will sacrifice myself because I'm funny and I am fat. And he waddles his way to the pilot's nest, Chad. And he has to clean up all of the pilot's gut. Like, his body's just like, Jesus, why did Jason fuck this guy up so bad? And it doesn't make any sense. But he has to move all the guts out of the way. He has to clean up, like, he has this earpiece. He has to get all the brain and gunk out of there. But he sets the course to Earth, chap. But then, Jason Voorhees arrives, and the fat guy, he made the sin of being fat and funny in the movie, and so therefore he must die. And Jason kind of kills him in a very lackluster way. He just kind of slams his head into some circuitry, and that electrocutes him to death. That's all that happens there. After this, we then cut to, like, everyone's like, oh shit, we're on our path, but maybe we should just go in the lifeboat just in case and shut the doors. So, when we do eventually get to Earth, we'll just eject from the lifeboat so Jason doesn't know where we are. The dumb girl, there's this really dumb girl who just fucking starts panicking for no reason. Like, no, we're all gonna fucking die. Jason Voorhees killed the fat guy. And he's like, in terms of who's gonna die next, it's probably me because I'm always crying and endangering everyone. They're like, listen, honey, it's gonna be fine. Don't do that. She's like, I'm going to eject. And she ejects. But the problem is, chat, the lifeboat, it's still connected to the fuel line because they were fueling it. And so when she shoots this thing forward, it causes the fuel line to break and build up in a lot of gasoline. And then, because the circuitry's damaged, it causes a fire. And then boom, she fucking explodes herself. Ah! She explodes, thus also destroying the lifeboat, chat. It's like, oh, Jesus. And Jason, he hears that like a fucking dinner bell, din for Jason Voorhees. And he waddles down there and he corners them. But before he can start slicing and dicing, chat, fucking KM14 and the nerdy guy arrive. And they're like, I've upgraded her with a Matrix program, so she knows Kung Fu. And so she starts beating the ever-living shit chat out of Jason Bourne. Jason can't handle it. He gets like, oh! And she does like this head rolly thing, and then she takes out these guns, and eventually they get to, like, she's battling him throughout the ship, and they eventually get to the medical lab again. And she starts, like, he's trying to raise up the machete with his arm. She blows the arm off. He's like, oh! She shoots, like, his legs off, and he falls forward. And then she takes out the shotgun. She's like, suck on this, big boy. And she explodes his head with a shotgun blast, and he's dead. It's like, yeah, he's fucking dead. Cool. We did it. And KM-14 did a wonderful job. Also, while they're during the battle, they also find Peter Mensa has not died, chat. There was no blackifice. He's just like, oh, my tummy. His tum-tum guts are falling out. And it's like, we got to get him to the medical lab and put the CGI silver ants in his tummy so then he can live. And they're like, okay, cool. So they go to the lab. They fix him with the CGI ants, chat, but then they learn that the ship is super heavily damaged and it's leaking fuel and all that shit. And this part of the ship it's gonna explode eventually. We gotta get rid of it because they do get in contact with Earth 2. And Earth 2 is like, okay, yeah, we can be there, but it'll be like 45 minutes. We'll be there like less than an hour, okay? But definitely not a half hour. We're gonna say 45 minutes. And they realize the ship's like, oh yeah, you only got about 30 minutes before this whole thing explodes. And they're like, shit. But then Dr. LaFontaine's like, well, why don't we just get rid of the part of the ship that's about to explode? And they're like, holy fucking shit, that's a great idea. Let's go. Let's take these bombs that look like, something that you can buy, like this plastic children's toy you can buy at Toys R Us, and we'll blow up that part of the ship. And they're like, okay, cool, let's fucking go. And so they go and do that. Meanwhile, though, Chad, remember all the CGI silver ants that repaired Peter Mensa's tum-tum? Well, they see Jason Voorhees' body, and they're like, well, this guy needs some help. We're going to help him. So all of the CGI silver ants descend upon the torso of Jason Voorhees, but they realize that there's not enough, like, organic matter to keep repairing him organically. And so they start taking like computer parts and steel and like the floorboards, like everything, and they just start stuffing Jason with all of this shit, just start putting all of it in him and everything. It's like, oh shit. And so he's slowly coming back to life and becoming, as they say in the movie, chat, Uber Jason. He's becoming Uber Jason. Meanwhile, we cut back to the rest of the team who are putting the bombs and the parts of the ship that need to explode and detach from it. But then, oh shit, right as they're setting up the last bomb, fucking Jason Voorhees arrives, or Uber Jason. And you're like, whoa, he looks uber cool. He's like this metallic mask. He has both his eyeballs, which are now red for the first time ever. And he's like, whoa, he's got like a robot arm. He's got like a robot leg, chat, and he's got his cool new machete. And they're like, holy fucking shit. And they're like, KM, can you beat him? And she's like, I will try. And she starts shooting at him, and that doesn't work. The bullets are just kind of bouncing off of him. He's like, holy fucking cool. This is like, I'm like Wolverine. This is awesome. And she's like, I'll try Kung Fu. That's a good trick. And she throws herself at Jason, starts punching him, and he's like, nothing. And then we get like, one of many awful CGI shots in the movie. But he just punches her head, and it goes bonk. It's like Rock'em Sock'em Robot shit. He just uppercuts her head, and her head just falls off. And her body collapses. And the nerdy, horny guy's like, no, KM. She's like, I am fine. Don't worry. He's like, oh, thank God. But during all this razzle and dazzle chat, most of the team gets separated, like Dr. LaFontaine and the rude girl and the nerdy guy. However, Chad, thankfully, there was another black man along with Peter Mensa. And he's like, all right, everybody, I'm gonna do the thing. They're like, are you gonna do it? Yes, I will do it. He's gonna perform a blackifice, Chad. So all of his favorite white people get to live, and also Peter Mensa, who also has to be black. But they all go, and they're like, no, please, no. He's like, no, I'm gonna do it because he has the detonation key, and he goes, boo, and he explodes himself, and also Jason, but not really. But this detaches the bad part of the ship, and it causes it to explode. And everyone mourns the sacrifice of the other black guy that was not Peter Mensa, whose name I don't remember. He had a blue shirt. He had a blue fuzzy shirt, chat. That's about it. And he died. They're like, yeah, we did it. But then all of a sudden, chat, the Jason, he attaches himself to the hull, and he punches a hole through it, which then causes the vacuum of space to suck out all the air. Everyone's like, oh! Everyone starts crawling to the girl, to the door. But the rude girl from earlier, chat, she's like, I can't make it. And she's slowly being sucked out, chat. And like her last line, which represents this movie so completely, so thoroughly, it's like, this sucks on so many levels. And then she's literally, her whole body hits the hole, and she's like literally sucked out via her own asshole, chat. She's like that, and through the grates and everything. So she had a horrible fucking death. Remember that scene in Alien Resurrection? They pretty much copied this scene from Alien Resurrection, chat, except it was the rude girl that died. And so she gets sucked out her own asshole. She dies, and they get on the other side, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is horrible. We gotta run away from Jason because the lifeboat guy, the rescue team, they're almost here at this point." Like they're almost here. And so they run throughout the entire ship, and they realize, like, well, what if we just use holograms? We can use synergy. If we just use synergy from Jen the holograms, we can distract Jason. They're like, that's a good idea. And so as they're waiting at the location for the rescue team, they shoot out this giant hologram, chat, to cover their tracks. And it's like, oh, it's like Jason Voorhees is back at Camp Crystal Lake. And he's like, oh, he remembers, chat. He's got all the 80s, fixtures and things. He's like, he loves it. And he's walking around, he's looking at everything, he's mesmerized. But then he knows like a little shimmer in the hologram, and he sees the nerdy guy. He's like, this is not fucking real. You're trying to trick me. And he waddles over, and he's like, oh, shit. And everyone's like, what's wrong? I think he saw me through the hologram. And it's like, oh, God, what do we do? What do we need to do? And the robot's like, I have an idea. And then we cut to Jason, who's walking, and he hears like these giggles, like, ah, and he's like, huh? And he turns around, and he sees these two big boobed bimbos, chat, and they're like, oh, we just love having sex. It's like the greatest thing ever. It's like, oh my God, it's so good. And they're like, hey, let's touch each other's boobs. And they take off their shirts and they're just rubbing against each other. And Jason's like, oh, it's like the worst thing ever. He's like, this is unacceptable. As they're just rubbing on each other and kissing on each other. And then we just cut to Jason like grabbing one of the sleeping bags and just slamming it into the ground. We hear the girls going, why? He's like hitting against the tree. It's actually a really fucking funny scene. It's a pretty goddamn funny scene. I do love it. It's probably the best kill. It's probably the second best kill next to the liquid nitrogen kill earlier in the movie. It's pretty funny. Meanwhile, while this is all happening, chat, we then cut to Peter Mensa, who's helping connect the rescue ship, I don't know, fucking tube to their main ship, to the port, because they're having some issues because the ship keeps moving. They can't stop it at this point. It's not the pilot's nest. And so he helps connect it at this point. And everyone's getting on board, but the nerdy guy's like, "Oh shit, we forgot the head of we forgot the head of KM-14 because they plugged her into the machine so she can put all these holograms to distract Jason." So LaFontaine, she runs back and she unplugs KM's head, but then Jason finally exits the hologram after killing the two big boob bimbos, and she's like, "Oh my God!" But thankfully, chat, there was one last black guy in the movie. And he's like, don't worry, I'll perform a blackifice. You and the pretty white people and the other pretty white people escape. And so she runs down the hallway, and Peter Mensa and fucking Jason Voorhees, they square up and like, and they start fighting each other at that point. Eventually the ship just, it explodes. But thankfully, the rescue vehicle leaves just in the nick of time, chat. They escape just in the nick of time. And they're just watching as the ship is blowing up, and they're just, Peter Mensa, what a good guy. Thank you for sacrificing yourself so we, the white people, may live in the movie. But then, Chad, they see like this little dot coming towards, like, what is that? And it's Jason Voorhees. He's like, I'm coming. And he's about to attach on the ship and probably slaughter everyone. But thankfully, Chad, Peter Mensa's still there to save the beautiful white people. He's like, not on my watch, Jason. And he grabs him. And they're slowly sucked into the atmosphere of Earth 2, chat. And Peter Mensa's like, no! Jason's like, no! And they burn up as they enter the atmosphere of Earth 2. We then cut to this couple this young teenage couple sitting in front of a really terrible CGI green screen of a lake. And they're going, look at the shooting star, make a wish. And they're like, we should go check out the shooting star and where it landed. He's like, yeah, that'd be really cool. And they go in that direction, Chip. But then we cut to the bottom of a lake bed and we see the metallic mask of Uber Jason float down and settle on the lake bed. And that, my friends, is my scene by scene breakdown chat to the 2001 comedy horror slasher film, Jason X. There you have it. And there you have it. Rowan actress is Filipino. He will perform the sacrifice to save the two pretty white people and the Filipino woman. There you go. Still stands. Yeah. Two of them. There's only two black people in the movie, and they killed both of them, chat. Oh, actually, and they do, like, fake outs, too. Peter Mensa, like, fake out dies, like, 2 or 3 times in the film. It's like, Jesus Christ. So technically, there's, like, 4 or 5 blackifices in the movie. Oh, well. He just wanted his emotional support machete. He's like, oh, thank God I found it. Oh, but yeah, the thing is, listen, in between, like, some of these fun moments, like some of the kills, especially the liquid nitrogen kill, and them commenting on the franchise itself with the big boo bimbo camp counselors and Jason killing them in that way. Like, there's some fun stuff, but man, there's just so much bullshit in this movie. It's very cheap looking. Also, I forgot to mention, the score for the film is atrocious. The score reminded me of the music from, like, Wing Commander. Like that, based on the video game, like that movie, it's like, ugh, like they use the and honestly, like, Friday the 13th has a really shitty score, I think, in general. And this one's like, bum ba da bum 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 ba do 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 do. It's like that kind of score that plays throughout. I'm like, this is awful. Everything looks cheap. All the sets look like they're made of plastic and styrofoam. You have some of these actors, they're doing a competent job. They're doing fine. Like, Peter Mensa's like, I came here to fucking act, okay? I'm going to do my goddamn job. But you have so many other people just like, oh, God. Like the actress who plays Dr. LaFontaine. Rowan, she's fine. She's not exactly interesting. She's boring, but she's not doing a bad job. But yeah, so much of this movie, like, not a lot fucking happens. And, Jason, I mean, he's in between those other kills, like how he kills the other people, it's kind of dull. Like, they put some thought into one of the first big kills in the movie, and then one of the, one of the last big kills in the movie, or not really a kill, but, it's a fake kill, the holograms. But still, it's just, it's just kind of dull. Personally, I think like a lot of the Friday the 13th movies. And then the Uber Jason design, I mean, it stands out. It's different. I like it, chat. It's very edgy. But I don't know, for me, it's a high summo bullshit, I suppose. Like, I don't hate it, but I couldn't recommend this. Yeah, like, I think back in the day, I would have said, like, oh, this is a fun rental. But I'm like, I don't know. You can watch some of these clips online and be good for it. Or watch it Chad watches with an audio video commentary and be very entertained. Other than that, Chad, I'd probably give this a high summo bullshit on the DT scale, in my opinion. Oh, what about you guys? What do you think of the movie? Oh my God, the fucking movie. Wow, my young goofy ass thought the coolest black man in the movie lived even when he tagged us. No, he burned up. He got all burned up. He died. I heard Jason X was made so they could work on Freddy vs. Jason. Oh, shit, yeah, because Freddy vs. Jason came out 2 years later. And that was a big commercial hit. It made like $100 million. Finally, the buff bald soldier that gets pretty much, it came in those, was the writer of Jason X. Oh! He also wrote My Belief. Oh, okay. That was Jim Isaac. Cool. Alan Berger, have a great evening. Thank you for stopping by the stream. Oh, excuse me, Jay. Let me take a sip of tea here. I got to do my own rating system 100%. I definitely need to do that. You are right. Good to have your code. By the way, I know we got some people that were following and subscribing during the review. Thank you to Tevin600 for the follow. You're my new Huckleberry Marvel Buff Nerd. Welcome to stream. 23 months of incredible support. Thank you so much. Nick, thank you for resubscribing. And Chronic, thank you for the follow. A pleasure to have you both here. I hope you're all doing very, very well. And I hope you enjoyed the review. I hope you had fun with that one, chat. But now, oh, God. Got just volume. But now, my friends, I want to switch over to some gameplay. We're going to finish up Man of Medan tonight. But in the meantime, let me move a few things over for you guys. Do that. Boop, boop, boop. Alrighty. All right, cool. And I'll entertain you, because I'm going to go ahead and refill my bag. Godzilla fan, good to see you. Hope you're doing. Do you want to have smoked pot and have premarital sex? I'm just like, no.